So
All right.
again, hello everybody. Joe, you want to start?
Yes, I will. Welcome everyone to our December webcast. I am Joseph Schuster, Head of Business Development here at Building Radar. Joined by me was Simon. Simon, please introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. I'm at Building Radar since 3.5 years, nearly 4 years now, working in customer success. And I'm glad to present you this together with Joe, this December webcast.
Perfect. So as always, we look at the numbers from the Building Radar indicators. We break it down by countries. We compare the countries, and then we also look at the regions and sectors that are being affected and the numbers behind that. As a quick who we are in Building Radar indicators, as those who return to us already know, and just for the new people, Building Radar is an early stage platform for companies in the construction space to help them find new projects at the earliest stage possible. You're able to customize your look and feel of the platform to find exactly the sort of projects you are looking for at the right time. So for example, here, we are utilizing an article as our lead source, and we're able to pull the important information out of that article to give you the information that you need to make it actionable, be it address, when does the construction start, size of the construction, and then of course the companies associated with it, with also the link to those projects. Now what we're doing here is we are taking all our platform information and aggregating those into market intelligence numbers and graphs to show you sort of what's going on in those markets. So starting off here for our first one, we have seen since the beginning of the corona situation, we have seen Europe bounce back about 135% since the low in January, February, March, April. Klaus, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, so basically, if you new to our webcast, what we're showing here is since March, it's the overall activity in Europe, as Joe explained, and we saw the sharp drop. But since then, since April, we see a steady recovery until now. The dotted horizontal line is what we call the pre-crisis level. So the level of construction activity measured by country, measured by sector, compared to calendar week 7, which is our benchmark for the first corona shock in Europe. Exactly. Something similar we see in the next slide for DACH, same logic, just not only for Europe, but for the activity for DACH. And we see a 181% recovery since the lowest point in April.
Again, we attribute this heavily to the DACH's quick response to coronavirus and also subsequent funding of new projects and then trying to get things going again. They put a lot of effort into that. Looking at the next one, would be focusing then specifically on Germany. We've seen 151% since the low. You see here, the line of the aggregate is of course trending upwards. We crossed that zero or that control level mark of right here back in June. We went up, of course we went down again, but we see us consistently trending up. And of course, as the year ends, we do usually see numbers of projects drop up, mainly because people are going on vacation, spending a little bit more time at home. Klausi?
Yeah, exactly. So again, what you see here, this is all what we say is the Building Radar indicator, and nothing more to say to this slide. Trend is increasing, and the next slide and the slide after that, everything is still the Building Radar indicator for Germany. Here in this slide, compared to the German stock index DAX, we say it's comparable, and of course not like not identical, but if you look at the decrease, the Building Radar index decreased 2 weeks earlier than the stock market index DAX. And yeah, on average, we see a more or less same equal development. But I would not put too much weight into this slide, to be honest.
Fair. The next, of course, is the early stage development information from our building radar index. Then, of course, through the moving average of these projects, we see, of course, that
this is
here,
the main. I mean, I think the main insight we see for 2020 for the German market is that we have a redevelopment in construction activity for new projects during 2020. This redevelopment means sharp decrease and sharp increase afterwards without staying at the bottom. And it's clearly Corona connected.
Absolutely. So again, we always like to roll these out to understand sort of a bit better how it looks like as well. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is again sort of our hotspot map, and for once it's not the hotspot of Corona infected, it's more the hotspot of projects. This is very heavily used by our clients to understand, you know, the resource planning, where should we be putting our efforts. So you can, if we look at places, if we look at Germany by postcode, we can see very hot in these sort of areas where there is a lot of development, of course, around the cities, their development areas as well. Simon, do you have anything to add to that?
Basically not on this, but on the next link, we can also have a quick look on that. It's the same numbers behind that, but differently distributed or visualized. And this is construction activity by city, and we see that of course the metropolitan regions are strongest, as we would expect it. And this is the building radar indicator visualized for German cities. Based on that, when we go to the next slide and also to the main part of this webcast, part 3, you will see how this will change by sector or by region. But let's have a look on the comparison of countries. This slide, we compare Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And the main insight is that we see since June, July, more or less a development around the pre-crisis level. So no Corona effect, and this displays the V development, right?
Absolutely. So this is a good example showing you how the different countries reacted to you know, bouncing back from Corona. We can see Switzerland, Austria, and Germany all improving from their lows. Switzerland staying pretty consistent throughout, but of course still, you know, being affected by it.
Yeah.
Early stage information from the USA, it is minus 20% the pre-crisis level. So while we have bounced back, we are lower than we were before all of this started. As you can see here, compared to Europe, where they are relatively at that same mark. Now, of course, Europe is made up of 28 different countries, as the US is only, you know, one country, and you know, we're all see the sort of the reaction to it as well.
Yeah. Interesting will be next slide. Exactly. Sorry. Please go ahead. Or next slide is comparison to Great Britain, where we have the Brexit topic, and also like the of course the Corona topic, but both major topics which also influence the construction market. And we see a recovery of the construction activity for Great Britain. So what will be next year and the year after. We could say with a look back on the last slide, we see no uncertainty right here for the two markets, construction market for Great Britain and Europe, compared to the United States, where we see a little bit of a drop.
Absolutely. Then moving on to the sectors and region.
Yeah, that's our main topic for today. And as we're at the end of the year, we say, okay, year's over. Of course, there are 2-3 years left, but not much will go around in terms of construction activity. So most is set for the year. And this is why we have a deeper look on a comparison of compared to 2019 by sector and by region. First of all, let's have a look how these sectors developed in the course of the year. Again, initial point is calendar week 7 as benchmark for the start of the corona pandemic in Europe. And we see if we look at the orange line and the yellow line, the orange line would be activity for industrial sector, which is the highest, and office would be the lowest. And yeah, why is this? And from which specific projects come or put it in? Joe, you know what I want to say, right?
Yeah, so looking at here, so we can look at office and industrial. We see those are very different. So for office projects, it stayed relatively flat because we all know we're now, for the most part, in home office. And so the workplace is changing. So is the confidence in building new offices. As you've seen, industrial has grown quite heavily, even from pre-corona times. And this is because these are mostly in industrial centers that need to be built to support local, businesses and actual in-person manufacturing as well. So when we look at industrial, we look at things like power plants, and we look at also call an oil field or larger projects. Yeah. We also see residential spiking up as well. We attribute this largely to the fact that people are working from home, and so people are caring a lot about where they live and how they live as well. So we see that construction increase. And then of course health. We do see a push around the world to increase their health facilities. So projects, be it planned or not planned, are either being pushed ahead or are being created new to address this new reality that we live in. Klaus, do you have anything to add to that?
No, we will see more details in the next slides.
And then also to build on top of that as well, we are talking about the numbers as a review of the year. We also have just released our Baureport in German, or yearly construction report, which goes into these numbers very specifically as well and goes a little deeper into it too. It is a bit of a longer read, but it is definitely worth the read. That was it.
Exactly. So next slide, we see what's the driver behind this increase in industrial activity. And it will be, this slide. What we're looking here are construction projects between 500,000 and 20 million estimated construction costs. And we see that the industrial sector is the only one with a positive ratio compared to 2019. So what you see on the y-axis is if there's a positive percentage, this means industrial performed over the course of 2019 around 20% better than in 2019 in the sector of 500,000, 20 million construction costs. This is the main insight from this slide. Everything else like office, administration, hospitality is negative compared to last year. Infrastructure is more or less the same, still around 5% decrease compared to last year.
Really smaller projects.
Even more interesting, like looking at this slide, we see that industrial is also negative for the projects between of 20 and 200 million estimated construction costs. These are estimations, but I think nevertheless insightful. Yeah.
So again, looking at the elephant in the room here, office projects have sunk below their pre-crisis levels. If we look at it on a, if we take Germany, for example, looking at where these office projects are happening, or more rather should be said, not happening. At best, you can see Berlin and Bremen, which are at about the same amount. And really every other city and state where there was significant work done before has deeply fallen. North Rhine-Westphalia, which is known as Germany's sort of industrial heartland, has definitely taken the largest hit at around that 70-80%. And you can see that sort of across the board is pretty similar.
Yeah.
Kazi, would you add to that?
Yeah. I think look at Berlin, look at Bremen. I mean, look even more at Berlin. If you ask if you're a furniture producer or seller of furniture or office products, go to Berlin. Would be the message from this slide, because it's the only state in Germany where we have no negative development compared to last year. So if there's one state, one city where activity in the office sector is still high, would be Berlin.
Again, these are the projects that are those smaller to 500,000 to $20 million projects.
Exactly. Fair enough. And if you look at the size of the bubble, it's nearly one of the biggest. Means that activity in this sector is one of the most important. So if Saarland or Thüringen, smaller bubbles would have been above 0, but not that significant like if Berlin is on average.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then looking at residential projects,
you can ask questions all the time, so we are pretty interactive. So just raise your hand, write us a question. We will answer them as far as we can.
Perfect. So again, looking at residential, sort of one of the let's call it the quicker recoveries of coronavirus, 15% above pre-crisis level. Looking at this, understanding, okay, where are these projects happening? So if we look at it, German, just to quickly give you a quick translation, this one is the early stage projects in 2020. So projects that are between 50 and 150 independent residences. So think multi-resident buildings. And then this one is the same, but from 150 to 200, so very large residential developments. Looking at the map here, we can see Thüringen and Rheinland-Pfalz are some of the bigger winners here, where there is a lot more development going on, where we're looking at countries like Bavaria and Bremen, which have that slowed down markets, and then looking at Brandenburg and Schleswig-Holstein, where we can see things have considerably slowed down. Again, Berlin, also a development area for those smaller projects. And then looking at the 150 to 250, so the much larger projects, Thüringen again and Saarland, quite large, quite showing a lot of growth. But then you see Sachsen-Anhalt is truly falling behind here in terms of those larger projects, where countries like states like Schleswig-Holstein is not doing as poorly as they were doing before in the lower number of residential unit constructions.
Exactly. So you see by the color of the state, the brighter the color, the worse the development since last year for this specific sector of residential projects in a space between 50 and 150 residential units and 150 and 250. Exactly.
Perfect. Then looking at everybody's new favorite topic, health. And it is 13% above pre-crisis level. This really has only happened in the last month, this dip above, to say. Taking a closer look at it as well, from more of a world perspective, looking at Germany versus the rest of the DACH area, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, against Europe and the world. As you can see, in Germany, in DACH, and in Europe, it has spiked massively. This is an area that we've seen a lot of increase in as well. Also, a lot of interest from all of our customers, as our customers start to try and refocus on how to address this new spiking market and being able to provide help there. Simon, would you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, this is, I definitely have to add something to this slide, because remembering back to May this year, we wondered, because this was the only sector which diverged this dramatically when we look at the worldwide numbers. So Europe and world numbers increased, DACH and Germany decreased. We did not really know what to do with that. We saw a similar development since September. And now what happened, second lockdown in Germany, second lockdown in Austria, in DACH region, numbers are increasing, activities are increasing, not only for DACH, not only for Europe, but also for Germany. So now we have the increase, the peak. And if you look at the media, if you look at the situation, what's reported in the health sector, yeah, it seems dramatical, and there seems to be need to construction. And,
a difference, you pointed out the lockdown, so that is a good significant part of the large dip there in the beginning, is because when lockdown happened the first time, no one knew what was going on or how to deal with it, and now there are rules of engagement. People have the right safe and healthy measures to continue these construction projects even during a lockdown. It is essential business, and then you're always going to have to build, and so companies and also countries are able to react to these things a lot better and allow these construction projects to go on. As you know, you just can't stop building a highway. Yeah. You can't stop building a hospital, especially nowadays.
Yeah. And this would be our last slide for this webcast and also for this year. It's not directly connected to our data, to be honest, because what we did here as last slide is comparison of all existing and planned vaccination centers, Impfzentren in Germany. It's over 400. Some of them we capture in our platform with our leads. I looked them up. Some of them not, because it's simple, just the existing hall which is rebuilt as, or not rebuilt, but used as vaccine centers. So, but I think it's a nice last slide for this year. On the left side, you see the total numbers of vaccination centers, 92 in Bavaria, only one in Hamburg, because there is this big trade fair which is used as a vaccination center. And it looks like that east of Germany lags a little bit behind. However, compared to the total number of citizens by state, we see a more or less equal distribution.
Absolutely, and it's good to see that there's a plan in place to go forward.
Yeah, exactly. So this is it for this month webcast, and for this year webcast. We see each other at in January.
Yeah, and thank you all for joining us, and all of those that have joined us today and all joined us before. And I hope everyone stays positive and then tests negative. So hope you enjoy your holiday seasons.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.